Now let's delve deeper into the anger within the Israeli army and in society at large. We're joined from Ramallah by Professor Suhail Diab, an Israeli affairs expert. Thank you for joining us, Professor Diab. Now, could I start by asking, what are the current conditions when it comes to the families of the detainees, and how have their protests against Netanyahu's policies gone down and shaped public discourse within Israel?
شكرا لدعوتك لي. الوضع الآن هو
families of the hostages from Israel in Gaza are more and more making a lot of demonstrations against the government in order to return their children and their families from Gaza, but they realized that Netanyahu is not going forward in order to have an agreement with the Hamas side. They know that there were 3 occasions to make that before. Once it was on May, and the second time in the July, and the third time was the suggestion of American and French suggestion just 1 month before. And Netanyahu, he was the man who rejected all these suggestions out of political reasons, and in spite of a lot of the Israeli parties wants to make that, especially the military side and the security side in the Israeli government. And I think, but I'm sorry to say that in this occasion, when Netanyahu is wanted to go more and more forward for a new war now, not just against the Lebanese, also against the Iran, and this fearness of will bring more and more fearness between the Israeli communities, not to demonstrate more and more out of this atmosphere of war, which going more and more deeper in the Israeli society.
And Professor, can I ask you as well about these soldiers? 130 soldiers signed a letter to say that they were not happy and that they may stop reporting for duty. How significant do you think that is?
We are talking about 130 which were signed that, but a lot of hundreds out of them, they are not, don't believe that they want to continue going to the military, out of 3 main reasons till now. The first reason is the economic side. This is the longest war in the history of Israel, and a lot of people lost their jobs out of these military services. The second reason is out of inequality. A lot of these soldiers said that it's not fair that from one side some of the population having the military services, and there is others who don't make anything, like what we call it, the Orthodox groups of Haredim, which they reject to be in the military services. Their number now, till now, 63,000 who reject to go to military service, and they have everything they want in their life. It means that the feeling of inequality in the Israeli system of bringing some groups to the military services and other groups are not doing anything, and they have everything which they need. It's not fair. And this third reason is social one. These services brought a lot of social problems inside the families, a lot of divorces inside the family, a lot of problems, also violence inside the families, and a lot of social problems. Out of these three main reasons, but there is other reasons. I know that there is some hundreds of people who reject to go to this military out of their opinion, political opinion, that it's occupation military, and they don't want to be a part of an occupation military. I know that they are not the majority, and they are not the most of those who reject to be in the military services, but they also, some hundreds of these people out of their political point of view, not to serve any occupation military.
What would you say, Professor, is the mood right now when it comes to society across Israel generally, and also the various different political factions and political parties?
If we see the last surveys, we can see three main points. The first point, that the most of the Israeli people, something like 63%, want to go to stop the war in Gaza and to make agreement with Hamas in order to return the Israeli hostages there. But from the same time, this is the second point, 58% of the people want to continue the war in Lebanon against Hezbollah. It's a mood of look like contradiction between these 2 points, but this is the situation of the feeling of the people, I think, out of not feeling any security, especially in the northern side in Israel, in the Galilee, who go out from their houses out of the war. But the third point, that the majority of the Israeli people doesn't want to see Netanyahu next time in this government.
Okay, I'll just I want to ask you some more questions, please. Could you perhaps tell us about the potential threats to the ongoing peace negotiations? What are the problems that are causing the problems for the peace negotiations, do you think?
The main problem in the Israeli community is the issue of security. This is the main issue of the majority of the people in the society, in the Israeli society, and the fairness out of this point. And this will push more and more the governments and the head of the parties not to go forward to have a peace with the Palestinian people. The second thing, that the most of the people in Israel don't want to have a Palestinian independent state in the future, in the short future, and they say that it will be something threatening the future of the Israeli state. But in the same time, we know that these fearness were before a lot of times, especially before Oslo negotiations, and we saw in that time that the dynamics of going for more peace will bring more people to support that, and we saw that in the period of Rabin in that time on 92, 95, after the agreements of Oslo, and the situation was so good in that time, and the people, some of the people wanted to return to that atmosphere, but a lot of things succeeded Netanyahu to damage in the last 2 decades in this point, and unfortunately, the Israeli society going more and more to the right thoughts and religious thoughts against the Palestinian people and also against the Palestinian solution in the future.